Coming to you from the Radio for One studios in Franklin, Michigan. Welcome to the Detroit Cast.
Big fan. Big fan.
A show not just free of charge, but free of FCC regulations.
Thank you for your support of the Detroit Cast.
Oh, there it is.
And without further delay, it's showtime. Please welcome the Detroit Cast. Here are your hosts, Mike and Jay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show with Mike and Jay. Shalom, Biggie. Hello, Jay.
Mike, how are you, man?
I am very good. I'm excited. We got a big show today.
It is a big show. I'm excited as well. So.
Yeah, this might be the most Detroit show we've ever done.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like, as far as, like, full-on Detroit goes. Vinnie Dombroski is here, lead singer of Sponge, one of the most underrated bands ever, in my opinion. J. Chris Newberg is also here, waiting in the wings. Vin, how are you?
I am great, Mike. Good to be here. Good to see you guys.
Thank you for coming by, man. It's hard to get you guys out of the house sometimes.
Right, my little east side slice of paradise, yes.
That's right. And you guys, this is going to be a little windy here, I'll be honest with you, because it's a long setup here. But you guys are playing the main event in Novi this weekend.
Correct.
Saturday, you guys take the stage at 9. You got Jill Jack Band playing at 7:30, Gasoline Gypsies at 5:45. And the main event, novi.com for more info. And then also I wanted to mention 7 to 10 on Friday. They've got a big charity thing, you know, silent auction, live auction thing with some great stuff to give away or for people to bid on and win. And we don't want people to forget about that. It's for the Mitchell Kiefer Foundation to end distracted driving. Young guy just his life taken very early by a distracted driver. And so it's a great thing, you know, wine, craft beer, food trucks, the whole works. And then Saturday, you guys are kicking off the music. So you got to be looking forward to that.
It sounds like a great event to be a part of, and I don't have a lot of knowledge about the event. How many years this has been going on?
3.
This is the 3rd one. Okay,
yeah.
Great.
And have you seen the Gasoline Gypsies yet, by the way?
Yeah, I've done some events with those fellas. I do this thing. It's a festival out in Detroit called Rockin' the Shores in St. Clair Shores. And,
that's not your beer crawl.
No, that's a whole different animal.
Okay,
but
okay.
The thing that we're doing this year, September 22nd. But the Gasoline Gypsies, they played last year.
Yeah.
And I've done a couple of the festivals with them too. Really good up and coming Detroit area band.
Yeah, you wouldn't like. They're young guys.
Yes.
They were in here. Darren McCarty records a show out of here from time to time, and he had them in as a band, and they played full live in here.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when they told me how old they were. They're in their early 20s, a lot of them. Ripping guitars. Their influences are like right out of the 70s,
Sure.
MC5, Iggy Pop, all that kind of. It's like, dude, where did you guys come from?
Yeah.
And it's nice finally to see a band actually plug in guitars in again.
You mean besides Greta Van Fleet?
Well, yeah, but as far as like radio, pop radio, you just don't hear like where are the fucking guitars?
Well, the guitar's gone the way of the dodo. That's why I think there's this whole vacuum created, and that's why some of these bands blowing out right now. I think it's very welcome. But if you listen to any pop music, guitar seems to take a frequency in music these days. Thanks, Tim. That is undesirable to make the pop mixes that we have today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rock guitar seems to gum it up, so they leave it out.
I don't like it.
Right.
I want to know, Vin, is it still fun for you after all these years? You've been doing this for a long, long time. Do you still get the same rush out of taking a stage in front of a crowd that you did in your 20s, teens?
Well, I don't rush anywhere anymore. But like I'm gonna attack the stage. The goal is different these days for me. You know, I just what's the challenge when I get up there? It's to try to represent it the best I can and try to sing the damn songs the best I can. That to me, that's the focus, and not phone it in and be phony and that. You know, I mean, I don't know how you try not to be phony. If you're phony, you're phony. But I try to have a real passion for it. But I mean, as far as fun,
he's being
it's all
humble.
I know he is. I know he is.
Let me tell you something.
Tim Krukowski, everybody.
Every tour they're on, when I was in the band or not in the band, because I've been to shows when I'm not in the band, and I've seen the whole thing. Even big tours with big acts, they set the bar.
Yeah.
Sponge sets the bar.
Yeah.
And everybody else looks at them and sees how they're moving on stage. I've seen it happen.
That'll piss bands off, too. If Sponge goes on before a band and lights the stage on fire, and then you got to follow that.
Do you remember when we were out with the Marvelous Three? Long time ago with Butch, right?
Yep.
Butch, we were standing outside of our tour bus, just being who we are, right? I saw Butch Walker come out of the Marvelous 3 tour bus, and he had cut-off shorts on and, like, you know, Converse or something,
Yeah.
and I saw him walk right back in the bus. And then later we were in our bus talking, and Butch comes in, and he admitted, I saw all you motherfuckers out there with jeans in 100-degree weather, and I fucking felt embarrassed with my legs coming
And
out.
you had to
And he
change.
wouldn't change. And that's a cool guy, dude, Butch
That's
Walker.
hilarious. That's hilarious.
Butch is
So
great.
Sponge is still setting the standard,
Yeah,
believe
good,
me.
good.
Yeah, and the original lineup, what, since 94? First time since 94 you guys played at Detroit Music Awards, right, in March? How'd that feel,
Yeah,
man?
yeah.
How'd that feel?
Well, I hadn't seen Tim Cross for 20 years. He stepped off the bus one day in Cleveland, and I didn't see him again.
Oh, Tim, right. That was,
Tim, yeah, he stepped, and his replacement, Mike Dolan, he walked into the bus. So, I mean, it was just that quick, you know what I mean? Until we found a permanent replacement.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you stepped in. But it was like we just picked up where we left off, but everybody was pretty pleasant, you know?
Yeah.
And that was for the 2018 Detroit Music Awards.
Correct, yeah.
And how did that come about even? Where you got the original lineup of Tim Cross, Jimmy Paluzzi, Joey Mazzola, Mike Cross, and Quarter Century you guys hadn't played together on stage.
Yeah, right on. And you know what? The dust had settled. Any kind of like issues between the fellas, I think, kind of had been forgotten, which was cool. But Gary Graff brought it to me, you know. And
Really?
Gary was like, "Will you?"
Mr. Big Stuff himself. I love it.
Yeah, he
good
said,
dude.
"Will you reach out to the guys?" And I'm like, Gary, the way you're going to just completely torpedo this thing if you have me call these guys. You understand what I'm saying? It's like they're going to
He
think.
called you to call the other people?
Yeah.
Gary calls to lean on you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's
But I mean, honestly, I know the fellas well enough, and if they think I'm concocting this, they're going to go, he's doing this to make himself look cool. He's
Yeah.
got some plan.
Lead
Which,
singer syndrome. Kicking in again.
right. It's my latest thing to make sure that people are going, hey, there's Vin.
Oh, my God.
You
That's
know, so
hilarious.
I was like, no. I'll give you phone numbers. You call guys, but I'm not going to
yeah.
do it.
And was there any hesitation, or were they just like, hell yeah, let's do it?
There were requests. I'm not going to say demands, but
Yeah.
the fellas
No
wanted.
brown M&Ms type of things?
Initially, they wanted to do it with the new lineup, the old lineup, all the lineups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that didn't go down very well. There was some pushback with that. So what it came down to was let's just focus on like the first record lineup.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a Rotting Pinata thing more so than anything else.
Did you ever think you'd be in a band with two members who both have two Z's in their last name? I mean, I can't think. I mean, honestly.
Well, it was easy to remember when, you know, somebody's like writing credits or checks. I get that, but, you know, that's always cool. But, you know, good guys. I grew up on the East Side, so it's all like Italians and, you know, Polacks.
Dude, I watched that full set, by the way.
Yeah.
Was that at the State or Fillmore?
Fillmore, right?
Fillmore,
March.
yeah.
I watched the whole set. I gotta be honest with you, it ripped. It was awesome. Cool to see the lineup. You can hear all the individual guys and be like, yeah, that's the guy. But the crowd was smug and
It's hard to
stuffy.
tell. There's just a single camera up in the balcony, right?
I don't know, man. When you usually watch Sponge live, it's like the crowd's going fucking ape shit, and hear these these journalists and media people.
I think Vinny sensed it because
Too
he
cool for
called
school.
everybody down, right? That's where you called everybody down to the main floor. You're like, get down here. You
Yeah,
got the
well,
tables set up and everything.
I don't want to make you shit on media here in Detroit,
you
but
got to try. But you know what, though? I mean, that's not your typical
Yeah.
rock fan. You know what I mean? Sure, it's media. It's what it is. But and then there's the naysayers, too, you know. They're like, oh, you know, who cares about these guys?
Yeah.
But I'm, you know, who's not prepared for that?
yeah.
So are we going to see that original lineup more in the future, or is that just kind of a one-off thing for now, you think?
We haven't talked since.
Okay.
Really?
I talk to Jimmy all the time.
Well, that'd be cool. Whatever, man. Whatever. But
maybe at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
there you go. There you
You
go.
know, another 20, 25 years.
Wanted to mention, man. Last time I saw you was unfortunately Mike Novak's funeral.
Sure.
He was an agent of all of us on the Drew and Mike show, and worked with you guys. And good dude. I'm sure you remember him fondly.
One of the greats.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even. If you talk to me anywhere about Novak, you'd get the same reaction out of me because he's not one of those guys that I look to for free legal advice.
Yeah.
He was a guy that I'd see hanging out in the club. He was a big music fan.
Yeah.
He'd come hang out at shows.
Cigar, cocktail.
Tito's,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he introduced me to Tito's vodka, so it's like, that's all fine and good, but he was always very passionate and a good dude.
Yeah.
So he wasn't your typical piece of shit lawyer guy.
I
Jay's a
believe,
lawyer.
I'm a lawyer. Just throwing that at myself.
What kind
Did you
of
see
law,
the,
what
did you
kind
see
of law
the
you
look he
practice?
just gave you?
I'm
Vin
always
was like,
interested. What kind of law do you practice?
Employment law, typically.
No, it's cool, man. Like, I met a gal out on the East Coast, and she did environmental law, and we're doing something kind of cool out in Connecticut. I invited her out because it's an important kind of thing, environmental law. But, I got an attorney that's a criminal attorney. And of course,
good to
I got
have
my
one.
music
It's good to
music
know
lawyer,
her.
Shari Lesnick.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Shari's, just great. But I seem to get along with lawyers.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. The internet has changed the business. I mean, you were in that generation that came up, and the internet really didn't even exist at the time, or it was a baby, infancy at the
Yeah.
time. And do you miss having like major label Sony support, paying for promotion and all that stuff, and making the album? Versus nowadays, where you guys can kind of do it on your own, kind of like we're doing right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are doing a great job. I've
Thank
been
you.
encouraged to be more engaged in Instagram and
Yeah.
YouTube, and of course, folks, they're out there with the YouTube, filming the band, videotaping the band. That's something I'm always encouraged to do more, be more personally engaged in that, and I'm still not as good as I can be with that. I got
None of us are.
friends of mine that help me do it. You know what I mean?
You and Andy have been doing a good job, man.
Facebook
Like,
Live.
Andy has for sure. Paddling.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
you guys got to admit there's something that's changed with Facebook in the last 3 or 4 months
Yeah.
that really kind of, now we'll buy ads, we'll do things like that. In addition, we boost our Facebook
Yep.
efforts, but it changes constantly, and I'm not the brightest guy with it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be
I'll
pretty
see that.
limited. Posts can be pretty limited in their reach now if you're not paying for them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's their business model. But hey, I wonder if you think it's easier or harder given those changes with, like Mike says, the labels are totally different now, and then just the social media
Album
aspect of
sales.
it. Is it easier or harder for a band to kind of hit it these days?
It's
you think?
a constant challenge. But the thing that is left for us, because, like you say, record sales, labels, they don't exist the way they used to exist. Music licensing, which I got in early on with my band Crud.
Yeah.
And we did a significant amount of music licensing. That's dried up, you know what I mean, or been devalued. All we got is going out and playing gigs,
Yeah.
hitting it hard, playing gigs.
Selling merch.
That is a big help. It
Yeah.
can be a big help at times. So, I mean, I'm sure that that's the business model that many new bands are using, and a lot of the bands are still out there touring.
But you guys did something cool. Didn't you do a Pledge Music campaign?
We have, yeah,
Yeah.
we've done a couple.
And we did something similar, Kickstarter. And
Mm-hmm.
Jay and I didn't know. We were new. He's right out of the law firm. I'm starting this. Tim's helping me get this thing off the ground. We have nothing. And it was like
Only
someone
person
said,
helping us is the fuck face over here.
yeah, semi-retarded kid. And so we get, people are going, dude, you got to do a Kickstarter. And we're like, ah. And so when it comes to what's your goal? We're like, I don't know, $500. Like, what are we going to
Sure.
do? What can we
Idea,
get?
right?
We have no baseline for what kind of support we have. We raised $40,000 in 9 days.
Incredible.
And it was like, holy shit.
And so
45.
was it actually Kickstarter that you guys
Yeah,
did?
Yeah.
we did Kickstarter.
Yeah. So you were like pleasantly surprised. How long ago was that?
That was 4
4
years,
years
ago.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
you were just blown away.
Blown away.
And have you done another one since?
No. And,
No,
and
we're not
we
sure
don't
the
know.
rules
We
on
don't know
that.
what the rules are. Can you do another one?
Can we do one every couple months? That'd be
We've done a
Have you done
couple,
multiple?
man.
Yeah?
We
Really?
funded a tour. We funded, we helped kind of fund a record. We've done some pretty
It's
cool
good to
things.
know.
Yeah, no, I
Well,
know.
you make
That's
them
awesome.
project based.
Right. Oh, okay,
They're,
sure.
They're focused on a thing. Like
Yeah,
they did it
yeah.
on an album, right?
Album and a
beer-
tour. So
They had a whole package.
Well, I've got a kid about to go to college, so
That's a project.
Yeah, that's a project.
Fund
that
my
counts.
project.
whatever somebody's going to pay for. But I'm glad to know that you guys might do yet another one, because I'm here to kind of if I can make anything better wherever I go,
Yes.
Thanks,
that's my
Vinny.
goal.
Vinny gives us support. So what did you guys do? It was like, we want to raise money to make an album or a tour, and can you it was successful.
But we were super proactive, and we did something like before there was Facebook Live. We did a sponge-a-thon, which was like we went on to YouTube with a live feed, and then we did like questions via Facebook. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So we were doing like a YouTube Live, or I'm sorry, Facebook Live before there was Facebook Live, and that really helped kind of finish off our campaign to meet our goal, and then some. So it was kind of cool then, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you've been
Seeing
pretty
the sport.
creative though with social media, because you did the beer sessions, that whole project where not only were you recording music, but you were doing this interplay with local breweries.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Yep.
was pretty cool. I mean, that you know, a few years ago, that was kind of like that's creative, man. You know,
And it was a lot of fun, you know.
You a huge beer guy? You got to be, right?
Oh,
No.
I'm a huge Michigan.
All right.
I think Michigan has got the greatest beer scene. We travel to a lot of places, and I'm just knocked out. Anytime I go someplace, I try the local beer. But I'm always reminded how cool Michigan beer is. I mean, the scene is just incredible. The
Yeah.
guild is incredible. You know?
I wanted to ask you about writing songs. Do you write personal stuff? Are you a personal guy? Like, this happened to me, this is how I felt, I'm writing about it? Or are you more make up a creative story, write about that, a little of both? What do you tend to do, Vin, when
I'm
you
not
write?
real good at like making crap up. You know what I mean? I have to have some kind of like understanding about where I'm going with something. And of course, it comes out in a way that sounds like stream of consciousness or something like that. But I got to tell you, some of the best stuff I think that I've ever written that seems to resonate with people is something that basically I'm like, you know, it comes out real quick. I'm not thinking about a lot. I kind of just get out of the way. If I can stay out of the way of the writing and just let it happen,
Yeah.
that seems to be the best kind of stuff.
That's so funny. We hear that all the time. Some of the biggest hits in music, it's like, I wrote it in 5 minutes
Right.
over breakfast.
Yeah,
Right.
like Plowed. Like, what was the writing process for that? And did you know while you're writing it, like, holy shit, I got something here?
I didn't know anything at the time. I was like literally shoveling snow on Sanilac and Casino on the east side next to my rental house.
Wow.
And a whole tune, melody, lyrics right there. I went into the house, grabbed the guitar, figured out the chords, then went right to the loft that night out in Saline to record it. So what you heard on the record, that's that 24-hour process.
Holy
No
cow.
kidding. That's
Yeah.
to date your biggest hit, right?
That
Wow.
would be the biggest hit, yeah.
My favorite song, one of my favorite songs ever, is "Mary."
Uh-huh.
Is that a personal story of yours?
That's somebody that I know out on the West Coast that just wrote everything down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had these lyrics, and then we were at a God, it was like an early morning radio performance. We rolled in about 5 a.m. We were waiting for the morning show to start, and we had some guitars out. We wrote the song right there. You know, just
No
put the
kidding.
tune together with the riff that Mike came up with, and that was it.
It's a beautiful song. I want you to play it if you would.
I think we can probably.
You think so, Timmy? You want to grab a guitar? Should we play a tune right away? So, Tim, get over here. I need someone that can play "Mary" because I got to hear Vin do it live.
I mean, I guess.
It's funny.
Why don't I kill our mics so we don't get the feedback? But I'll just let you two go. Is that cool?
Sure.
Not sure what my voice is going to do in the morning. Oh, baby, all right. You see, Mary, please, Mama will help her. She seems to be looking for answers. You see, Mary, please, will you help her with questions that go unanswered? Like, why does she feel all dead on the inside? As a child, she remembers feeling alive. Who was that man that made my mother cry all night? Was that my father? Who was my father? You see, Mary, please, Mama will help her. She seems to be looking for answers. You see, Mary, please, will you help her with questions that go unanswered? a man that's walked into a life all no different than all them others that promised the world and then they leave her. She said I should have known better. I should have known better. Make some noise for Tim on guitar.
Yeah. Yeah, Timmy. Good
So all alone, why was there never a man in her home? And will I end up like my mother, by myself, with no other, with no other? You see, Mary, please will you help her? She seems to be looking for answers. You see, Mary, please, Mama, will you help her with questions that go answer? Well, all right. That's not an easy riff to play. You did a good job.
Yeah. Wow.
No big deal.
Amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. That is a tough song to play on guitar, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's
Not
a
really.
tricky riff.
Not really.
I was asking J. Chris Newberg. He was like, "Ah, you want me to bring my guitar? You know, he does songs on it." And he's like, "I was like, yeah, maybe polish up on Mary." And he's like, "Yeah, that's a really tough song to play."
That riff is strange.
Oh man, that's awesome. Hey, writing songs. Please tell me you don't ever use those like Nashville 8-person teams that are churning out lyrics and hooks.
God, man, you know, I love writing country songs. I really get a kick out of it, you know. I've done this Orbison thing for
Yeah.
20 years almost, and I love it. But I have some friends that do that kind of thing, man. And God, they won't give me the time of day. I'm like, let's write a song, you know. And they're like, whoa, yeah, you know. Maybe there's some like secret writing cult down there that you can't break into, man. But no, we haven't. We did do that. We had a suggestion by Donnie Einer over at Sony or at Columbia several years ago when we made the New Pop Sunday record. We delivered a record that we made with John Kolodner, the
One of
great.
the most underrated records ever, by the way.
Well,
it's a
but
great record.
We made that record with John. We delivered it to Columbia, and they were just like,
96. You should have been 96. What is it, 97?
well, that record we started probably in '97 and
Yeah.
finished it, released it in '99, but they
Cusp
didn't
of
like the
boy
record.
Bands, man. It was the cusp of the music had changed.
Big
And
time.
that, and
You
that
remember.
album
Yep.
is fantastic. Might be one of your best. And it got
Yeah.
fucked because of the change in the music scene.
Well, I mean, you know, sitting there talking to Podell one day back then, Podell said, Vinny, everybody's using consultants these days, and this is the kind of music that's being ushered in.
Yeah.
You know, and it was very heavy. A whole different format of radio was ushered in at that time. But we didn't make the record that we wanted to make at the time. Columbia didn't like the record, and Donnie said, you guys want to bring in a bunch of outside writers, you know? And the vote from the band was no, and the rest is history because we left the label after that. So.
Yeah, yeah.
The challenge at that time was that the consultants had figured out that beer was where the money was. That's
Well,
all. It was just beer.
I
And-
mean, you know, that probably has been that way for quite some time.
Well, there was this growth in the 18 to 34, actually 18 to 24 kind of
Time.
thing,
Yeah,
and these
yeah.
consultants were just like hammering that demographic.
Yeah.
And beer was the product. Well, here comes Fred Durst.
Yeah.
Right,
Here
man.
comes corn.
Right.
And it's just fucking the beer. You know, they can't sell enough beer. Like
Yeah.
it's just if you think beer, you think fucking Cookie Monster Rock. You know, and it just took over, dude. I mean, God bless them. I'm just saying that
Right on.
that was just as that was coming out, because that's when I joined. Was after you talk about Tim walking off the bus. It was right after you'd gotten back from those Blondie gigs for New Pop Sunday.
Right,
Oh, in
man.
Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
How have you kept your voice all these years, Vin? I mean, honestly, you see guys blow their voices out, and yours sounds the same. I've seen you over the years for forever, since the beginning. I saw you at Harmony House in Farmington Hills right when the first album was dropping.
No warm up
Sound the same.
that we know of right
No,
there, right?
you didn't
Unless
go
you're
in
out
another
the van
room and
doing your thing.
do your
No,
scales.
which I should have done. You know, it's just I try to really pay attention to what I'm doing. You know, it's like I don't need to be out singing 5 dates in a row, though. You know what I mean? I should be doing 2, take a day off.
Which you
know.
just did.
Which we just did, but you know, I'd like to be doing this for another 20 years. You know, I could think about doing it for provided you know I still got the health to do it. So, you know, I'm a little more conscious of it, but I do use that in-ear monitor thing these days again, which I used many years ago. I stopped using it, and I started using it again because I don't want to tear my crap up. You know, and of course, you know, not doing cocaine.
Yeah, that helps.
Stop that.
Wait, what?
Stop that. I went to an ear, nose, and throat appointment one time with my first manager out in L.A., and the guy looks up my nose. He goes, "You've either been doing a lot of cocaine or you've broken your nose."
What'd you say? I think I
Both.
broke it.
I broke it with cocaine.
Hey,
One
it happens to
big
the
tube.
best of us.
Hey, man, you are an internationally acclaimed rock and roller. You've been all over the place doing this for decades. Got to ask you the proverbial craziest rock star backstage story, man. Got anything nutty?
Probably involves cocaine
Well,
or a broken
maybe.
nose.
You want something more than breaking his nose with cocaine? You want to
Yeah.
go deeper than that?
I want it deeper.
Yeah.
I want something specific.
Deeper. Yeah.
You guys toured with Soundgarden back in '95.
Which
Anything
was
there?
just, you know, just incredible. You know, but back then you're just so like, you know, like, you know, this is par for the course. So you don't really, it doesn't sink in that you were touring with Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Or these types of things. But we used to have a lot of fun backstage back in the day. You know, we used to do things. Well,
Feel free to throw Tim under the bus here if you got a good Tim Krakowski story.
Oh,
I'm an
good.
open book.
There's just some shit I can't talk about.
No.
Hold
Not
on.
true. Not true.
Because you know what? It comes up in the van.
I'm sure it does.
Here, Vin, let me say that
I'm sure it does.
I watched the Timcast. For those that don't, Timmy's got a podcast, Timcast with a K, K-A-S-T.
First guest, right?
First guest was Vin, and came in, and you guys are talking, and Vinny says, 90% of our time together was amazing, and 10% not so much. And then Tim was like, yeah. And then you guys moved on. I was like, no, motherfucker, back up. What's
Explain
the
the 10.
10%? I want to know what the 10% was.
I just can't. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, we ran into a gal in Phoenix, and it's funny because I talked to my wife about this the other day. You know, for some reason, we had this cabana outside was our dressing room. We were playing inside because 108 degrees outside. They said, you guys are playing inside tonight, but they had a cabana for our dressing room, and in walks this gal, and she must have been the gal that took care of all the bands, because I know Buck Cherry is coming through on that tour they're doing with Lit and those guys.
Yeah.
But she must be the gal in the area that brings you whatever you want, because she walked up to me, and I had my rock pants on, and she walks up to me, she looks at me, she goes, "You're beautiful," and then she grabbed my crotch. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And then she's like, "I'm going to go get cocaine." And, well, she's like expecting us to be like, well, great, you know? And then she's texting Tommy Lee, you know? And then she's on the phone to Tommy Lee, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm with so-and-so right now," and he hung up. And then she texts him because one of the guys are like looking at her phone, "Don't you ever hang up on me again or I'll slit your throat." You know what I mean? So it was heavy, man. So I go, this gal's connected somehow. But it came up in the van the next morning, you know?
Yeah.
If Tim was
If I had
here.
been there, yeah.
Tim,
Oh yeah.
what happened? What do you mean it came up the next morning in the van?
They're saying if I had been there, this was a recent thing. This was after I'd left the band. They're
Oh,
saying
but-
that
but
if Tim
this-
was still
this
in the
just
band,
happened-
Cocaine would have been there.
This happened. This just happened last week. But if Tim were
Yeah. That's hilarious.
not this, we're saying if old Tim was here.
correct.
Speaking of Tim, when you've got guys, because the lineups have changed over the years. How cool? Because I remember Tim was working with me at Riff.
Yeah.
And was working, and Tim was one of those guys that had his hands in every department. He wanted to know this business. He's a learner. He wants to study. And I remember when it was like, dude, I'm doing an audition to be bass player for Sponge, and I was like, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, good luck with that,
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you got this, Tim. Yeah,
and then
sure.
a month later, it's like, dude, I made this second round, and it's like, yeah, good luck with that. and then it was like, dude, it's down to me and one other guy, and it was like, oh shit, no kidding. And I'll never forget Timmy walking in and going, dude, I'm the new bass player of Sponge, and it was like seeing how happy he was and how happy I was for him.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be the coolest fucking feeling for you, though, to be like, to make the call and go, dude, I'm about to change your life forever.
I mean, I look at it like this is either going to be great or I just invited somebody to be the biggest pain in my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. You don't know.
You don't know?
You
Yeah.
just don't know.
don't know.
I'm very reserved about that stuff, man. It's just like there was a kid, and I felt bad for him last week for about 2 seconds. They brought this intern kid in to work on a show with us. My guy Mike Pigeon, who works TM and production, this kind of stuff. He had some kid in front of his wife that wanted to come in and intern for the show. And I'm always a little skeptical of anybody coming in our camp, because it works fairly well. So this kid, he rode to the gig with us, and we had this very, very nice trailer that they had set up for us for the show, air conditioning, and so I'm expecting, the kid to walk out there with Mike Pigeon and deal with the gear and learn about what this business is. Well, he was sitting there in the trailer talking to everybody's wife, sitting at a table in the air conditioning. I lost my mind. I go, you need to be outside doing something right now because you're not learning anything sitting here. You know what I mean? So I felt bad to some extent, but I go, this kid's got, he's in my camp, he's in my thing. So it's just like I'm very skeptical or worse, I'll say something.
Yeah.
Well, you did the kid a favor. You snapped him to attention, said, hey, you shouldn't be in here talking to the ladies. You got to, you did the kid a favor, man.
Oh, he's
life
way better
lesson.
looking than me,
Yeah,
too.
sure.
Yeah. out, buddy. Speaking of Pidge, man, God, how about him? Patty Smith, the cello people.
Yep.
God, Mike Pigeon, who I've known since we were kids, is Vin's right-hand man, tour manager. He's
Right
gone
on.
on to do great things.
Yeah.
And just a testimony to Vin helping people. It's not all, you know what I mean? Like, Vin will give people a leg up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was shocked when he was like, yeah, what's the address? I'll be there tomorrow. I was like, fuck, awesome, man. You could have easily mailed it in with a phoner. Easily.
I could have stayed home.
Yeah.
That was an option.
Hey, I got to bring up a couple things because we got limited time, and I want to do one more song if you guys wouldn't mind. But early on, you guys did a lot of gigs in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
Club Soda gigs.
Heck yeah.
You probably don't remember details of many gigs, but a buddy of mine was in a band called Blackwater Station. I knew all those guys in Blackwater Station. You guys opened for them at this club, and I mentioned on Facebook, hey, Vinny's coming in studio tomorrow, blah, blah, and my buddy John wrote on there like, dude, Sponge actually opened for us at this club.
At Club Soda?
Yeah, it might have been Soda. I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's the one I remember. But he was like, these guys showed up. They brought their own lighting rig. They blew the fuse within 20 seconds of the first song.
Yeah, he says he goes out and the van pulls up, and the guy starts unpacking the van, and his buddy in that band goes out to introduce himself. Hey man, we're on the band going. I'm from the band going on after you guys.
Yeah.
And the guy goes.
He just assumes you're in the band.
Yeah,
you know.
the dude goes, I'm not in the band. I'm just loading the gear in. And this guy goes, who the fuck are these guys? They got a $50 gig in Kalamazoo, and they got a guy bringing
their own
It
lights.
was when you guys were showcasing and stuff.
Understand the wisdom of it, though, man. Really, in the early days, I'm at the mercy of some house sound guys. So, number one, we always brought Chris Panacki. I don't know if you guys know Chris Panacki, but back then, if we were making $50, we were paying Chris a couple hundred just to make sure that he dealt with the sound and the sound was good. Because I go, we cannot do this wrong. We can't walk into this club and stink. We got to be on the mark. Even if we were sitting, like we used to tour in a van with no windows and a Buick Regal, you know what I mean? And we would travel out as far as Chicago. Kalamazoo was always easy, but yeah.
He said the other thing I remember is Vinny came out on stage with a box of light up yo-yos, and he said they were so bright it's all you could see from the crowd with these fucking yo-yos. And he said, I thought it was weird that Vinny changed his shoes before he went. You pulled like a Mr. Rogers Neighborhood and changed your shoes. And he goes, he left them there, and our lead singer took his shoes home. So if you want them back, I'll probably get them back for you. But
No, I mean, I've since left the yo-yo thing behind. And
What was that? Do you remember that?
Changing shoes. I do. Well, I started bringing yo-yos because of the lights at the Avalon in Chicago. We were playing, and all we brought was like, we didn't bring like a light rig then, but we were still blowing fuses. You just sit in the dark there, man. You know what I mean? So I started buying light-up yo-yos.
And it worked?
It always worked, you know.
Not distracting. Actually helped, huh?
But you know, these days I left the yo-yos behind. You
Yeah.
know, I used to. I have brought this giant eagle I put on my shoulder at gigs, but the wind blows it off my shoulders constantly.
What?
Right? Or exactly what?
One of the other things that I wanted to touch on, Vin, and I don't know how comfortable you are talking about stuff like this, but when you guys were dropping the Wax Ecstatic album, there was a definite split there with the band. Like that album was dropping, you guys were huge at the time. You're in Europe with Soundgarden.
Yep.
I think you were managed by Cornell's wife at the time.
Correct.
Yeah. And it seemed like when that album was dropping, you should have been on TRL. You should have been in New York. You should have been touring the States. And, you know, I've heard different stories. We've got people that run in circles. Do you remember what went on there? What happened? Like what the split was with the band at that point?
What the rationale for Europe? I remember.
Or any of it, you know, because I'd heard stories about Vin took off. He fucking left.
Oh, that stuff. Well, that, man, I mean, that was like, you know, when you look at what was going on with Rotting and what kind of effort and work led up to the success of Rotting Pinata, not just the making of the record and the band getting signed and then promoting the record and touring and all this stuff, you know, that was probably a good 2-year stretch of work and touring and all that kind of stuff. We got done with that. We went right back into right to recording the second record, man. So we were just like, and then after that, it was back out doing press and talk about, you know, touring and setting up a world kind of thing with going over to Europe. And we were on an initial promotional tour with like, it was the Fugees and Maxwell and Fiona Apple and Sponge. We're all on a bus together doing a promo thing in Europe, even prior to going back to Europe. So we were setting stuff up in Europe predominantly at that time, you know what I mean? So there was a lot of work going on. But back then, too, you know, I was partying hard, man. You know, my first manager and I mean, we did a lot of pretty crazy shit. And nothing had changed even at that point, going over to Europe, man. And the European record label dudes were very generous, you know, and I would be up for 3 days, man, you know, doing...
Generous with drugs and...
That's what I'm talking about.
Shit.
You're out there. So, you know, we're out there playing gigs, and there was one night where it wasn't... We weren't just resonating with the audience, man. So we would play Wish You Were Here by Floyd, you know, and I'm like, well, now it's probably a good time for cover because they're not listening to anything else. Well, our manager over, and wasn't Susan Silver, but we had a separate manager for the UK and Europe as well that worked with Susan, and she was really put off by the fact we played a cover. She's like, I got promoters all over the world coming here to see you guys, and you're looking like a cover band, you know what I mean? She said to me, she goes, Vinny, you might as well just go home. And I go, great idea. I need a fucking break. I really do, man. You know what I mean? We're at a dance club in like Cologne or something like that. And I'm like, you know what? Great idea, man. I got an American Express card. It's my ticket to go anywhere. I went straight to the airport and like, where do you want to go? It's like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, anywhere. Anywhere in the United States. What's the next flight out? They go, well, there's a flight to New York that leaves at 5. And I go, put me on it, man.
Wow.
You know, which all that bought me was a one-way ticket to rehab, you know what I mean? After, you know, that flight and a 12-hour Greyhound ride to Detroit, I had a lot of time to think about it, you know?
Oh, dude, what a crazy rock story. Because, I mean, I'd heard from, you know, former band members or friends, maybe it was even Novak, was like, you know, like Soundgarden was like, hey, dude, where's your fucking band? You know, they're in the dressing room and the band members don't know where Vin is. It's like, hey, man, where's your fucking singer? You guys are supposed to be on stage in 5 minutes. They're like, I don't know. And Vin's gone. He's gone.
It's just, you know, and I think about it, it's just stupid. It's selfish. It's just like, you know, and I certainly feel like I've been paying for it ever since. You know what I mean? It's almost like you go, you know, it's 20 years of 20-something years of hard labor, you know,
Yeah.
where it's like you're watching The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, that movie, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what has transpired. And of course, it hasn't been as dark over the last few years, but it was pretty stupid.
It's cool to have that rock and roll story, though.
Did you ever feel like I was payback for your escapades in your 10-year sentence with me? Did you ever go, man, this must be the check for all that?
Yeah, I did think about that at times.
Dude, I know you got to get out of here. You want to do one more song, and I'll mention Vinnie Dombroski is here. SpongeTheBand.com. If you want to follow them and see what they're up to, that's a great website. Whoever's doing that, by the way, there's some really cool shit. It looks great.
That's our guy Dave Mazzarelli, man. It
Yeah, it's good
works
stuff.
nonstop for the group, and we love what he does. And I just had a drink with him yesterday. We always touch base on what we need to be thinking about, and he tells me where I'm goofing up and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, you guys are playing the main event, Novi, 2018, which is Saturday, 9 o'clock, Jill Jack Band, 7:30. Or no, you guys are Saturday at 9. Jill Jack Band at 7:30. Gasoline Gypsies, a great, local rock band.
Yep.
5:45. The main event, Novi.com. And don't forget, 7 to 10 Friday, there's a charity fundraiser for the Mitchell Kiefer Foundation to end distracted driving. They got food trucks and wine and beer tasting, craft beer, lots of stuff for kids. It's downtown Novi on Main Street. And it's free. It's a free show.
That's wonderful.
So come on out, support these guys, and if we can get one more out of here before you get out of
What do
here.
you want to do? Were you saying wax? Yeah.
I wanted to ask you where that fucking wax guitar riff comes from. Holy shit. We'll just play it.
When things just aren't going your way, like a problem, hair would you pluck or shave? Shaving got to be such a bore. You deserve so much more, and happiness is just a purchase away. Angelina, fix your hunchback. Angelina, help your time pass. Angelina, here's the forecast. Angelina, science. We never laugh. Here's something that is automatic. As wax ecstatic when life is nothing less than tragic. Yes, wax ecstatic when life had lost all its magic. Yes, wax ecstatic when life in the fantastic. You throw all your troubles away. You'll have nothing that you want to say. In the circus, you'll need nothing more. All your troubles walk out the door, and all is just a phone call away. Angelina, fix your hunchback. Angelina, help your time pass. Angelina, here's the forecast. Angelina, it's science. We never laugh. Here's something that is automatic. It's wax ecstatic when life is nothing less than tragic. Yes, wax ecstatic when life had lost all its magic. Yes, wax ecstatic when life can promise the fantastic. Yes, wax ecstatic. Here's something that is automatic. As wax ecstatic when life is nothing less than tragic. 'Cause wax ecstatic when life had lost all its magic. 'Cause wax ecstatic when life can promise the fantastic. 'Cause wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax oh wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax oh wax oh wax oh. Wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax oh wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic, wax ecstatic.
Wow.
Tim on guitar. How do you like that?
Nice, guys. Amazing. Vinny, thank you so much for coming by,
Thank you,
brother.
Mike.
It's great to see you,
Great to
dude.
see you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
for
yeah.
having me.
Thank you for everything, man. It's great. I hope people come out and support you guys. It's an amazing show. You guys put on an amazing show. SpongeTheBand.com and the main event Novi this weekend.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thank you.
We'll be right back with J. Chris Newberg.
The Detroit Cast continues after this short break.